There is a soul out there who holds an incredibly deep and profound love for you, and yet this person has made the conscious choice to keep a significant distance between the two of you. Before your mind begins to race, trying to rationalize or explain everything away, I need you to pause for a moment and just breathe slowly. Because the message reaching you right at this moment is not just any ordinary piece of information. This exact second, this message and this perfect timing are coming from a higher connection. It serves as clear proof and confirmation of what you have been feeling deep down. It is the absolute truth that your inner spirit has quietly wanted to hear all along, buried beneath all the confusion and the endless string of unanswered questions you have faced in your life. There is no accident in this. Nothing happening right now is random or without a deeper meaning. Sometimes the universe shares its hidden truths, and you can only notice them when you finally stop rushing around and become still enough to really listen. Your spirit already understands what is real. There is someone in your life story, or perhaps someone who used to be incredibly close to you, who carries a form of strong devotion that they find almost impossible to put into words. They feel an intense emotion that they simply do not know how to manage, and a longing that they cannot seem to remove, no matter how much space they try to put between you. Do not make the mistake of thinking their quiet behavior means they do not care. Their silence is actually overflowing with powerful feelings that are trapped inside them. As their love for you grows stronger, their urgent need to pull back also seems to increase. It is as if caring for you has become both a beautiful, precious gift and the most challenging obstacle they have ever faced. This is the truth their heart knows intimately, even if their outward actions are constantly trying to cover it up. They maintain this distance because you touched them so deeply at their very core. You woke up something that had been dormant for a long time, something that was hidden safely under many years of emotional armor. If you are dealing with someone who loves you dearly but keeps pulling away, take a moment to acknowledge that connection right now. As Carl Jung once suggested, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction at all, both of them are permanently transformed. And that is precisely what took place between you and this person. You changed them in fundamental ways. You helped them see parts of their own soul they had never been brave enough to show anyone before. You opened up the walls they had built so carefully over many years. You reached a part of their spirit that even they did not realize existed. To them, you are not simply another person passing through their life. You are like a mirror that reflects everything they desire and everything they are deeply scared of losing. You reflect their highest hopes and also every old, jagged wound they have never taken the time to heal. They have never experienced feelings this strong, this genuine, or this incredibly difficult to control. You dismantled their defenses without even trying. When they are with you, their soul felt completely open, clear, and without any cover. And being vulnerable was something they were never taught was safe to do. You were never part of their original life plan, but rather a sudden arrival that shifted their entire world in ways they still cannot fully describe or understand. They never expected the sparks that flew when you talked, the profound, unshakable calm when you were near, or the terrifying reality that your absence would feel like losing the very air they need to breathe. This person remains distant not because they lack interest, but because of a paralyzing fear regarding the immense emotional power you hold over their spirit. You have become the one person whose thoughts and words matter more than anyone else, making you a mirror they are just not yet ready to face. If you have someone in your life who cares for you deeply but stays distant to protect their own fragile sense of self, then you know exactly what this is about. Loving you feels to them like stepping off the edge of a very tall ledge without knowing for sure if anything soft will be waiting below to catch them. So, instead of taking that terrifying risk, they choose to remain frozen in a state of self-imposed isolation. Their distance is actually a quiet admission of guilt. Deep in their heart, they believe that you deserve someone who is more complete, more fully healed, and more steady than they feel they are right now. They obsessively replay past mistakes and conversations in their head, constantly worried that their own unhealed wounds will eventually bring disorder into something pure and damage a bond that feels far too precious to lose. Inside the silence they keep, there lives a soft, haunting voice that tells them they are not yet ready enough to meet you as their best self. If you recognize that this silence is actually just a protective barrier born from their own perceived inadequacy, then you understand their struggle. They sense your bond in the deep, energetic spaces where simple logic cannot reach. And no matter how far they try to travel, you remain a permanent fixture inside their internal world. Every temporary distraction they seek fails, and every attempt to find a replacement feels hollow because their heart remains fundamentally loyal to the essence of what you shared, even while their mind is scared of the vulnerability you represent. As Carl Jung wrote, "What you resist persists." Their desperate attempt to push you away has only caused the connection to grow stronger and more undeniable within their unconscious mind. Their silence is rich with unsaid truths and the heavy burden of past disappointments that taught them that closeness often brings suffering, which makes you feel both incredibly valuable and dangerous to their sense of peace. If you are ready for the truth that their heart is actively working to overcome this deep-seated fear, keep that thought close to you. They are currently testing their own strength, attempting to see if they can stand firmly on their own before they feel capable of standing beside you. Beneath the facade of independence and the deep quiet of the night, they lie awake, crumbling under the immense pressure of everything that has been left unsaid. They intuitively understand that even a single step toward you will shift their entire world, a metamorphosis for which they do not yet feel prepared. Their absence is a self-imposed exile, a frantic, ongoing attempt to calm their internal storm before it finally encounters the profound stillness of your presence. They recognize that one moment of total, raw honesty will make their emotions impossible to deny. And once that truth is finally spoken, there is no returning to the safety of the shadows. To love you is to make a commitment to everything, and they are currently terrified of giving that much of themselves to another soul. They hide behind the illusion that there is a perfect time for this, waiting until they feel stronger or until life becomes easier. But their spirit knows well that healing does not wait for convenience. Even from a distance, they are haunted by the wonder of whether your heart still holds a special space for them or if you have finally decided to close the door. The deep truth is that they are coming back. It will not happen when they feel perfect, but rather when the agony of your absence finally outweighs the fear of their own vulnerability. While they may appear composed and untroubled to the outside world, this separation is a silent, ongoing trauma that strikes them whenever the noise of daily life begins to fade. They miss you not just as a simple memory, but as the only place where they ever truly felt at home. There is a deep, painful recognition that everything felt lighter and more authentic in your company. As Carl Jung observed, until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct one's life as if it were fate. Their hidden fears of being undeserving have guided their retreat, but their soul continues to pull them toward the light you provide. This is a major turning point in their destiny, an opening that requires the very honesty they have spent years avoiding. If you are ready to welcome the version of them that finally chooses truth over fear, hold on to that readiness. At night, when sleep does not come and they stare upward into the darkness, they think about the words that were never spoken, the apologies they owe, the truths they held back, and the chances they wish they could live all over again. They consider reaching out to you. They vividly picture exactly what they would say if fear did not stand in their way. They write messages they never send. They type out long, heartfelt thoughts and then delete them. They look at your name on their phone, hoping for a spark of bravery to appear. They practice conversations they are too scared to begin. Every attempt they make ends with the same agonizing worry. What if it is already too late? What if you have continued on without them? What if the opening between you has closed for good? Even with that crushing worry, they cannot stop hoping that you still feel the connection. They wonder if you still notice the bond that exists beneath the quiet. They wonder if your heart still knows theirs the same way theirs knows yours. They wonder if your spirit still calls to them in your most still and private moments. There are nights when they feel completely sure that you are thinking of them too. There are moments when your name comes to them suddenly, as if it were pulled by an invisible force. They are deeply scared of losing you for good. They genuinely felt that they just needed more time to heal, more time to grow, and more time to learn how to love without being controlled by their fears. But that time has slowly turned into a trap of their own making. Every single day of waiting makes the space between you feel much harder to navigate, rather than simpler. Every day of silence just adds more pressure to their soul. Every day they spend pretending that everything is fine only adds more weight to the truth they are trying to hide. They picture themselves returning to you in a strong, honest, and brave way, feeling completely free from shaking or doubt. They imagine walking right up to you, knowing exactly the right words to say. But life does not hit the pause button for anyone just so they can achieve total courage. And love certainly does not wait around for someone to be completely healed. Sometimes, the only path forward is to jump into the unknown without being able to see where you might land. They are slowly learning the hard way that waiting for things to be perfect only causes people to lose what matters most in life. They stand still, desperately wanting to move forward, but finding themselves held in place. They can feel the universe gently pushing them toward you, while their own fear pulls them in the opposite direction. They try to calm their inner struggles long enough to clearly hear the deeper truth. They are currently deciding whether they want to keep living behind their emotional walls or finally give in to the bond that will never fade. They often think that maybe you have become stronger without them in your life. Maybe you have finally learned how to move on. Maybe you no longer spend your time searching for them. The very idea of that possibility hurts them deeply in ways they cannot easily fix or ignore. They would honestly rather stay silent and punish themselves than face the crushing pain of discovering that they waited for too long. But underneath all of that fear and all of those delays, one strong truth remains steady. They have never once stopped loving you. The distance between you is not because their love for you has become weaker. Quite the opposite. The distance is there because their love grew so powerful that they could not carry it anymore without feeling completely overwhelmed. They are not gone forever. They are simply in the middle of collecting their strength. They are building up their courage, piece by piece. They are locked in a tiring inner battle between their deep-rooted fear and what they know is truly meant to be. They are learning in a slow and difficult way that silence does not actually guard their love. Instead, it only makes it weaker. There will come a moment, either very gently or all at once, when something deep inside them opens wide and they realize they can no longer stay away from you. It will be a moment when their heart speaks much louder than their worries. It will be a moment when not choosing you hurts significantly more than the risk of actually choosing you. On that day, the separation will finally come to an end. They are coming back, not halfway, not unsure and not weak, but truly, fully present and honest. Because this story between you two is far from over. Your chapter together remains wide open. A love this deep does not just vanish, it changes its form and it continues to grow. They are shifting inside during these long periods of quiet. They are growing in ways that you cannot see right now. While it may feel like nothing is moving, everything within them is changing fundamentally. The distance has forced them to face themselves, and that is one of the toughest fights that any person can experience. Being without you has worked just like a mirror, showing them everything they once tried to escape. It has uncovered truths they tried to keep buried. It has removed all the layers of protection they built up over many long years. Now they have to stand directly in front of themselves with no one else to blame and no more creative ways to hide. No distractions remain, and there is no escape from the painful fact that being apart from you brings them the deepest ache they have ever known. So, instead of constantly running outside of themselves to find comfort, they have started turning inward, slowly and with some resistance at first. They are finally discovering who they really are when they stop pretending. They are seeing clearly that what they once called strength, such as shutting down their feelings, staying distant and isolating themselves, was actually just a way of going numb. It was a survival mechanism, but it was never a way to truly live. Numbing yourself does not bring healing, and silence is not a sign of real power. They look back at you and recognize you as the person who helped them feel safe enough to hope again. You are the one person they could not pretend around. The distance gave them the space to think clearly, and now they see with fresh eyes all the things that their fear had hidden from them before. They understand how deeply you really saw them, and that scares them, because being truly seen by another person means being open to the possibility of loss. Being open means having something incredibly valuable that could be hurt. They are gradually learning that the true risk is not losing you, but missing out on the chance to share something rare because their fear stood in the way. They realize now that they cannot love you completely until they face the hidden sides of themselves they always avoided. They cannot build something lasting while they are still hiding behind emotional walls. They cannot move toward you while they are still carrying all that heavy, unhealed pain. So they are studying new ways to be. They are finally letting go of the old patterns they once thought would last forever. They feel life pulling them out of who they used to be and guiding them through a process of hard but necessary growth. They were scared of being loved because they felt fundamentally unworthy inside. They are facing those shadow parts that the psychologist Carl Jung described as the hidden, pushed down, and weaker sides of a personality. But you broke those old, limiting beliefs simply by being your authentic self. You made them feel secure enough to be a fully realized human being, and that, more than anything else, frightened them. In their private times of deep thought, they recall the gentle tone of your voice, the calm in your presence, and the understanding in your quietest moments. You gave them something real, and they just did not know how to accept it fully. They once believed that love had to be difficult, full of messy ups and downs, and constantly unsure because that was all they had ever known. But with you, it felt different. They were not mainly scared that you would eventually leave. They were terrified of disappointing you. They were scared of letting you down. They feared that if you looked at them too closely, you would notice the imperfections they felt so ashamed of. What they are realizing, slowly but surely, is that you never demanded perfection from them. You never needed them to be without mistakes. Love is not about being flawless. It is about being willing to show up and be true. Every day they stay awake, they feel the empty result of their choice to stay away. Every morning they wake up without you. They carry a load that just does not make sense anymore. Every night as they drift off to sleep, they are thinking of you. They understand that a love like this does not appear very often in a lifetime. Their distance is not giving them power. It is actively harming the very thing they hope to keep safe. They can sense the universe pressing them to move, to grow, and to finally face the truth. They feel the connection between you becoming stronger instead of disappearing. What they once hoped that time would reduce, time has actually made much deeper. They know now that life does not wait around endlessly for us to be ready. Chances do not return again and again. They are learning the difficult lesson that Carl Jung spoke about. There is no new awareness without experiencing some pain. Through that difficult process, one clear understanding has grown stronger than all of their fear or doubt. They cannot heal without the truth. They cannot move ahead without having some bravery. The worries are slowly becoming weaker. Their heart is becoming stronger. The silence is finally starting to break. The distance is becoming smaller. Something inside them is getting ready for the moment they finally stop running away. When they turn around and face what they have been avoiding, it will be with clear eyes, with open honesty, and with the kind of truth that comes only after a very long inner fight. Because what they feel for you is not just a passing phase. It is not imagined. It is not short-term. It is a deeper call, a soul recognition, and a bond that goes far beyond space, quiet, and the passing of years. Very soon, the silence they once used for safety will become far too heavy for them to bear. The distance they thought would bring them clear thinking has started to feel like a trap. Every day spent without you weighs more than the one before it. Every moment they spend acting like they are fine becomes much harder to continue. Everything they tried to push down into the dark is now rising up strongly to the surface. Everything they tried to ignore is now loud enough to wake them up. They can sense the change happening, the turning point inside, and the end of every excuse that let them hide from you. There is a point in every big life change when staying the same starts to hurt way more than facing the unknown. They have officially reached that point. Their mind is tired of battling something that is too strong to defeat. They are starting to see that they are not actually protecting themselves by staying away.